What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode one of The Travel Guy. And as you guys know, and you're a fan of the TW Explorers YouTube page, you realize we do travel quite a bit. We've been to some interesting places, mostly domestically, but some internationally over the years. And it was only a matter of time until we figured out that, you know what, it'd be useful for people if we didn't just put our videos out there of like the places we've been, but maybe actually talk about maybe some of the experiences we've been to and basically kind of give you an idea of what you should do, what you shouldn't do, some suggestions, if you will, while traveling to certain places. A lot of people Google, like for example, the topic of today's episode, episode one, is the Amtrak auto train. And a lot of people don't know about the auto train. In fact, I didn't really know much about the auto train until we took the auto train last week, and then became a mini expert, if you will, on the auto train because basically, um, I knew about Amtrak. I've taken Amtrak multiple times. I've taken it as a kid from Boston to Florida. I've taken it many, many times from New York to Boston and vice versa. So I did have some kind of familiarity on how Amtrak works, its inefficiencies, its outdatedness, and it's just how it could be so much better, and it just really isn't. And it's actually embarrassing when I've been to other countries where the train system just way so much more efficient, and the Amtrak kind of is just, blah, it's kind of stuck in the 1970s, and it's very hurtful for people who need to travel. Nowadays, I feel like people use Amtrak as part of their vacation instead of a means to get into their vacation. And in fact, that's exactly what we did. We used it mostly as part of our vacation, something new that we haven't done before, something we haven't experienced or anything. And it was at the end of the trip too, so it didn't affect time or anything we were doing in our schedule. We had a pretty complex trip last week, which we'll get into detail and pieces because we started in Boston and we ended up in Washington D.C. And we hit and ideally we ended up in Disney World, followed by um, Fort Myers, then back. So it was a lot there in 10 days. So way a lot more than we could discuss on one podcast. So we're actually going to break it up. So this first few episodes is basically going to be based on the trip that we took last week. And I wanted to stuff the auto train because I was getting a lot of questions about the auto train. People wondering. Now, way I knew about it, but I kind of forgot about it, right? I didn't really think much of it. And I didn't know much about how it works. I just knew of it, right? And I was at work one day and I was talking to a gentleman and he had told me that I had mentioned I was going to be in the Washington D.C. area and I was heading to Florida, and he goes, "Oh, you're taking the auto train?" And I go, "The auto train?" I go, "Refresh my memory. What's the auto train?" And he explained to me that basically the auto train goes from Lorton, Virginia, which is about like a half hour south of Washington D.C., all the way to Sanford, Florida, which is about a half hour northeast of Orlando area. And it happens once a day. It leaves both cities at 4 p.m. and gets to the other city around 8:39 a.m. It's about a 17-hour round trip train ride. Um, the perks of it, you could drive your vehicle onto the train. They have the train we were on was about 39 train cars. Um, I believe 16 were either the engine, baggage, and passenger, and then the other 16, I could be wrong by these numbers, plus was the actual cars. And these cars, the train cars, or the car train cars, I guess that would you call it, right? The train cars that hold your car, is that the way you want to call it, right? They are about the same length as a regular train car, which is I honestly have no idea the length of a standard Amtrak train car, but I do know it's probably 20 feet longer than a subway car, perhaps most subways. Just guessing, just by estimate. And I feel like it holds probably like at least 20 vehicles per train car. And it's funny because they stack them up. So you get the stations here, right? And we'll show some pictures on this podcast as we go. But the train station's here. You pull into this like drive, like a bank uh, your covered area, right? And you tell them your name and all that stuff, and they give your car a number. And basically, you take all the stuff out of the car you're gonna need for the train, and then you go and someone jumps in your car, and they literally just bang at you, and the train cars that hold your cars are right like across the street, like a stone football field away. To the fact that by the time you get out of your car and turn around to get into the building, your car is almost on the ramp going up into the train. And it's a two-level train, so it holds your cars on both ends, which is pretty cool. So I'll put some video of that here of our car going onto the ramp, which was cool to see. And yeah, and that's it. And then you go in the train station and you wait. The problem is scheduling and kind of the schematics of the whole planet. So you have to have your vehicle there by 2:30 the latest for 4:30 departure, for 4 o'clock departure, sorry. So that really means you really want to probably aim to be there around 2. We got there around quarter of 2 just to be sure because we never done this before. We didn't know how long it was going to take. The downside was that we were sitting in the train station, which we thought would have been for about 2 hours. There is a gift shop in the train station. They do sell snacks. They do sell alcoholic beverages, but there is nothing else. Sanford, Florida, is basically a suburb. It's a town. You literally drive through a neighborhood to get to the train station. And in fact, the train is so long that the station can't even hold the entire train, that most of the train is actually over the road for a good hour. So if you're trying to get through to the other side of the train station, you might as well, you got to use a different road. You'd be sitting there for an hour. So, we actually, for the first time ever on Amtrak, were early. So around 3:30, they called all aboard, and the train cars were already set up. So it's funny. You get onto the train and you move a little bit, and the engine. So I was trying to, in my mind, figure it out. So the vehicles, the train cars in which your cars are on, are at the end of the train, and they split the train in two pieces at the train station because it's so long. So you have like the sleepers and everything on one side, and then you have like coach and all this other stuff on the other side. So you're either going right or left when you get into the train. Now we went right, so our train. I don't even know how it works. There must be another engine or something at the train station that pulls the cars into place. Because our car went backwards, connected with the main train, pulled up a little bit, and then connected with the vehicle train. So they all kind of latched. So there's like an aerial view of this if you could see like how all the extensions to the train are. Now, we opt to do it from Florida to DC. Originally, we wanted to do it from DC to Florida because it would have got us into Orlando at 8 o'clock in the morning, which would have been about 12 hours, 10 hours earlier um, than we ended up doing on Tuesday. But we weren't sure if we were going to be able to make it to that part of Virginia on time, um, due to what we were doing in DC the day before that day. So we priced it out and everything, and it was like $750, give or take. Now, mind you, we're traveling with two adults, one child that is 5, and another child that's 2.5. You still got to pay for the 2.5-year-old, but we did get some kind of discount. We saved like $100 for having like a child, I guess. I don't know, when you look at the breakdown, and then the cow was about 200 and something dollars. Now we sat coach, we didn't sit like in a cabin or anything like that because it would have been almost. I think we priced it as $1,200 to take the car and a cabin for the four of us, which we weren't really trying to spend too much money. We knew we were going to spend a little bit more money than a hotel that night and the gas that would have took us there. But we didn't want to spend. We didn't want to break the bank on it. So, for about $250, we got this is going from Florida to DC. The car and the four of us on the train and the coach seats. Now the coach seats are good. They're nice. They're the size of first class seats on airplanes, and you get about 3 feet of legroom. So, and these things recline pretty much almost all the way back. It's almost like a business class seat at an airplane. They're pretty comfortable. I didn't have a problem with them, the comfort wise of them. But it is an Amtrak train, and these trains were built in the 70s and 80s, and they haven't been updated very much, and they're very dingy. Amtrak does not do a very good job of cleaning these trains. A couple of our tray tables were dirty. There was, trash on the train. We had to kind of clean up our own area a little bit before we started the train, so we weren't really impressed by that. And I knew that kind of going into the Amtrak trains are kind of dingy. They just need a nice, thorough clean, which they don't get done. I don't know if it's because they operate them so often or they just don't have the staff to clean them, or they just don't really give a shit because they know people are gonna ride anyways. But I feel if it was a more cleaner product, I would probably opt to use it more often than I do. But knowing how dingy it is, and that's why I was kind of wary of getting a actual a cabin in these things, 'cause I can only imagine how dingy those things are too. Sleeping in those beds or whatever like that. Which I was like, yeah, I think I'm all set on that department. But now if we did it from DC to Florida, it was roughly around $800. Now, why would the price difference if you're going the same distance? Yada yada. My theory on this is because a lot of older people, especially the snowbirds, who go down to Florida for a prolonged period of time in the wintertime, well, and they didn't want to drive all the way down there, which I could see why. Because that drive's long. I've done that drive 30 times, in my life. I did it every single year as a kid. Did it a couple times a couple times a year as an adult at some points. So it's a long. The Carolinas gets very long. Now going to Florida, I don't really mind because I make it part of the trip. You get in there, you get there, right? It's the coming home that's takes forever, especially when you're down in South Florida. It'll take you like 6 hours just to get to Northern Florida. That's half your day's drive right there. At the best, the most I've ever got coming from Fort Myers going up was I got to exit 8 in Virginia in 95. And this train will drop you off about 150 miles north of that. So it gives you a little bit further than you could ever do driving. And that's driving, pushing, and getting into the hotel around like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and then starting fresh the next morning. Now, living in DC for a little while, I know that it's a good solid 8 hours from DC to Boston, without a doubt. And it fluctuates, obviously, but for the most part, that's what's going to take you. An 8 hour drive for me is nothing. That's a day's work. I could do that no problem at all. So I knew when I got off that train, it was going to be a breeze. I was going to be home before dinner time up to Boston. So it worked out pretty good. Um, so what was the point? The point was it was more expensive going down because I believe that a lot of snowbirds will take this option so they don't have to drive. And I got to be 100% honest with you. This is a very, very good possibility this would be used very often with myself and my family. I think we'll be using the auto train a lot more now, knowing how it's worked and its convenience, and just the ability of giving you an extra day of vacation in a sense. Because when you're driving, it's 2 days down, 2 days up. Sometimes it's more days down because you're making a part of your vacation, but you're doing stuff along the way. It's very seldom we're ever doing stuff on the way home because we're just trying to get home, and we're already crammed as much stuff as we could in the beginning of the week than we do for the end of the week. So the home process, it's 2 days of non-vacation. It's work. You're driving, right? But with the auto train, especially if you're in South Florida, like I say, like Fort Myers, you're 3 hours away from the station that you have to be at, say, 2 o'clock, right? So you leave at 6. You can get up to Orlando, by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and that's what we did. We planned on leaving Fort Myers. I think we left at 7. We got to Disney Springs because that was that we were gonna go to Disney Springs for lunch, walk around, do a few things, and then head to the train station. So that was the goal, and it worked out great because we got there, we spent a few hours there, and then we continued on our way. The reason we did Disney Springs then is because we were at Disney a few days before that, but we were at Disney from rope drop to closing. Didn't have time to go to the shops. It was cold, rainy. We just want to get back to the hotel. So for us, we figured we'd just do all our shopping stuff on Disney Springs when we're on the way back. So it worked out good. Now the old timers will use this probably going down. I think anyone will use this going down or going up, just so you don't have to drive those, 17 hours. So what's what the train was about 17 hours. You could probably drive it in probably like 15 or 14, right? Depending on how fast you're going. And it's more expensive because it's winter time and everyone's going down there now. I have never checked, but I should check. See, actually, I could check right now. I have the app right now. If I was going from Florida to Virginia, and let's do like May. It's off season in Florida. Let's do the same day. I did it on a Sunday into a Monday. So do a Sunday. You know, let's do one way. Let's give you an option. Ba. Let's find trains. And let's see. All right, so right now for one person, it's 158, so it's about the same price. we'll do the whole situation like this, like with my family, and see what that turns out to be. Um, because I'll be curious to see if the price changes or and we're gonna assume my daughter's still at 2 when we do this, and then find trains and see what the price is. It's a little, website's a little slow. Amtrak's a little dated. Okay, so coach is 158, um, which I think it's about what we paid. And then let's see what the car would cost us. And this is all stuff you guys could just play around with too. But and get you in the same time. I'm gonna do one standard vehicle. So the vehicle price looks to be the same. And let's see if I get that discount for the minor that I did. So no. Okay. So discount applied. I only got a $80 discount this time instead of um the $150 discount that I got last time. And it says that it's 158 a passenger. I think we paid closer to like maybe 89. So right now, if I did this May 2nd, May 4th going into May 5th, Sunday into Monday, the same exact day we did it. But coming from Florida up the same route, just 3, 4 months later, 5 months later, it's $834. So it's $300 more. So this is basically when you go, once the timing is, and vice versa. Um, So the price will vary. So I can't tell you how much it's going to cost. I know we paid 550, and I've seen this thing like we just checked right now to 840 for the same route, same day, 4 months later. So it's really up to what you want to spend. Of course, it's cheaper if you just drive through and don't even get a hotel, right? You have enough people in your car, you could switch off, or if you're in a say like an RV or something like that, you could do something like that. But if you want to change, you want to relax. Now, when you get on the train, there is if you're not flying, if you don't have a room, you have if you don't have a room, you're in coach, and you have ability to like a cafe bar, which is basically a train car that has some seats on both ends. So it's nice. You can get off out of your seat that you're sitting in the car and go to like a little, it looks like a little diner basically, right? And then there's a little counter there where you can get drinks, alcoholic drinks, regular drinks, and food. Prices aren't exactly too crazy. I thought they would be more expensive. I think a beer was like $8, which is, whatever. I did bring my own. I am not sure of what the legality is of bringing your own alcohol onto the train. Now, they didn't check or anything. They didn't ask. I did have it in a backpack, not a cooler, and I did have it out in the open drinking a beer, and no one said anything. So I don't know. I don't know if it's allowed. I don't know if it's not allowed. You would have to look that up. I didn't look it up. I kind of just played it by ear, and if they got in trouble, I got in trouble. Just throw it away, I guess, right? So something to think about before you. And I would say if you're doing it, don't be openly about it. Just try to be, casual about it because you can drink a beer, so you just have a beer. No one say anything, right? That's my theory. That's my idea, but I like to go on the side of caution, anyways. But it is nice because it does have internet. It is spotty. I found at times my actual cell phone internet, the cell signal, was a lot better than the actual Wi-Fi on the train. I did come into a situation where I was trying to stream the NFC and AFC championship games while we're on the train, and it was very spotty doing video of that magnitude. YouTube worked pretty good. I didn't have any issues with that for the most part, but it was like Fubu, which is a little more um, a lot more data coming through. I would believe for live video and stuff like that was a little bit of a issue, but it is what it is. We had several options. I have T-Mobile, and then our hotspot is Verizon. So, and then we had Wi-Fi. So we also had a hotspot. So we had three options. We switched around to whatever ones. The kids didn't seem to have a problem with their Kindles. They were able to play and watch their videos, no problem at all. So they didn't care. The good thing about that too is that everyone's so comfortable. You get on the train at 4. The kids didn't have a nap that day because we pretty much went from Florida up to Disney Springs, and then we're in Disney Springs and into the train. At like 8 o'clock, we brought them like snacks and stuff. We ate like a later lunch. We gave them some leftover snacks for dinner. Um, they were out by 8 o'clock, and they slept till about 7 in the morning. They were out. We actually had to wake Henry up. Um, I think he came up later. Charlotte was up like at 6:30. Once the sun came up, she was up. I had bought these Manta sleep masks or a Manta sleep mask that has Bluetooth speakers in it and everything, and it's like zero blackout. And I had that on, and I was out. It actually hurt my eyes when I was taking off because it was like the sun started coming into the train and everything like that. So keep that in mind too if you're in coach, you don't have a room, so you got to kind of adjust. They do shut the lights off at 9. I think they do come back on at 6:30 in the morning. So we actually had an emergency window seat, so the light was on, like a night light around it. It didn't really bother me. I had the mask, and it didn't seem to bother Henry at all. But things to keep in mind. And then when you get to the station, we got there early, which is funny, and they didn't have staff at the train station yet in Virginia to get us off. So we had to wait there for 45 minutes on the train, which is fine. We got our stuff together and then we're ready to roll. They were able to get the train car disconnected from the train, and then they started bringing our cars up one by one. Now, there is a option for priority exit for your car. Okay. Is it worth it? I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because your priority gives you first cars off the train. So if you're running late or you just want to get going on the road, you are the first cars off the train. Okay. Well, is it worth it? I don't think so because while we were waiting for our car, we were one of the last cars to get on the train because we were towards the end. Everyone seemed to got there super early. We were the last one. So my theory was we were going to be one of the first cars off since we were one of the first cars off, minus the priority. We waited there. There were only 7 priority cars called. Um, and then we were like the fourth car after that. So my suggestion is maybe get to the train station towards the end of the cutoff, and when you're there, you should be one of the last cars on, so you should be one of the first cars off. In theory, I don't know if that works. And I'll have to do it again a couple more times to test my thoughts on this, but that's what I think. So I wouldn't get the priority. It's an extra. God, I don't even know if they have the price yet. Let's see if I can go back and choose. Oh, so priority was already sold out. So this must be a hot weekend for some reason. Um, I don't know why. Weekend after the Easter, maybe? Maybe Easter's late this year. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. So that's priority. This doesn't give me an option. So that's probably why these prices of this is a little more expensive. And I did say they run every day. Um, but I do not know that for sure. Let's see. Let me try doing like a Wednesday. Let's see if there's any trains that day. Ta, ta, ta. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me there would be a train every day, but who the hell do I know, right? Yeah, there's random days. All right, so this day was like a few days later. It's Wednesday, May 14th, going from Florida to DC. It's $114 a person, so $1,500 for a room. And this is still with 4 people. All right, so if I do coach and I do the value, and then I add that, see if I get the discount of the so if I want standard cost, yes, that's priority vehicles sold off too. So I wonder if people just buy that in advance just to get off because this is the time of year people start going back to North. All right, so this is 680 on this particular day. So it all depends. It all depends on what day you're going. And my theory of going north to south, I don't even think it really makes a difference. So there you go. But you know, you're your own person. All I could say is if this is something that you think that you would benefit you at all of just relaxing, enjoying, and going both ways. Now, both ways, you're probably looking at about $2,000. Is it worth it? Well, are you going down there for a long period of time and need your vehicle, and you don't want to drive all the way down there? Then yes, it's worth it. If you're going down for a few days, and you just want your car there, I don't think it's worth it because you could fly probably for 4 people cheaper than that, and get a rental car for cheaper than that and be down there faster for cheaper than that. So it all depends. I think it's a great option if you go in there for more than a week, and maybe not both ways, maybe just one way like we did it, and see how I like it. I don't know, give it a try. It's don't waste your money and spend too much money on it though. If it's over, you know, my opinion, I would hate to pay more than I paid. Put it that way. So I think six would be my limit. The 684 would probably be in the gray area, maybe, maybe not. You get a function. What's a hotel going to cost you? $150 maybe, less than that, depending if you have points, right? But is your time more valuable than that? You on the train, part of the trip is still going on, and you're using sleep time instead of daytime, and still gives you a day before you get on the train, and gives you a day after the train, for a whole day and night. So if that's more value to you, maybe it is. I don't know. I really don't know. I liked it one way. I liked it going north. I think that was cool. I liked it going home better than I think I'd like to go next. I think it would have been a drag coming back. And also, it's further away too, so it just makes sense being the furthest away and cutting it close. But we usually do this trip every year, give or take, whether it's a week, but sometimes a weekend. So next year might be a weekend, but I don't know. So we haven't scheduled that yet. We're at this point. We're at February of 2026 when the Bruins are playing an outdoor game in Tampa. That's on the list. So I am that's probably the furthest out we are right there. We're gonna do Groundhog. By the way, today's Groundhog Day. We're gonna do Groundhog Day today, and we do everything we read. It's the kids aren't ready for it. We gotta wait till the kids are at least teenagers because it tails large quantities of time being outside waiting in the morning for hours upon hours. So maybe it's something me and Sue do later on when the kids are older, but I don't know. But keep that in mind too when you do Groundhog Day. We'll have a whole episode on Groundhog Day and my planning for Groundhog Day. Maybe I should have done this one episode for this episode since it is Groundhog Day. But we will try. Maybe next week we'll do Groundhog Day. We'll talk about Groundhog Day adventures and what to do and what not to do, even though we haven't done it yet. Just an idea. So, well, thank you guys for watching the Travel Guy. Leave your questions below. If you do have any questions in general about travel and everything like that, you can send us an email. I think it's twexplorers@gmail.com. And just ask any questions on our YouTube page, ID84 and the TW Explorers. You can just watch our videos, leave a comment on there. We pretty good at answering our questions on videos. Or like I said, send us an email at twexplorers at gmail.com. Subject line question, and then if you put in the actual video that you have the question about, like the episode, we can look that up. And get a better idea of what you're talking about or what you're asking. So feel free to do that. Thank you guys for watching Travel Guy, and thank you for watching our videos and stuff like this. And hope this was helpful to you. The auto train from Florida to DC and all in between. So thank you. We'll see you soon. Bye.